I wake to the stench of mildew and medicinal rot. My tongue is a strip of cotton in my mouth, and the ceiling above me is a tessellation of brown water stains that look like bloated continents. When I sit up, pain spider webs from the base of my skull, and a band of metal clinks against the concrete behind me. Handcuffs, one shackle locked around my right wrist, the other snapped onto a rusty cot leg. For a dozen heartbeats, I register only sensations: the sticky chill on my skin, the rancid breath of long unplugged radiators, the faint hum of what might be generators somewhere below ground. Then the absence lands. My name is missing. My history, my address, my favorite color, everything gone. A single memory surfaces like a bubble in black water. A laminated security badge with the words "Forensic Psychologist" printed under my photo. The picture shows my face, sharp jaw, dark hair pulled into a professional bun, but the name beneath is smeared beyond recognition. I don't know whether the smear lives in the memory or the reality. Either way, I cling to the title, Forensic Psychologist. That is my profession. That is the first fragile thread. I yank at the cuff. Rust flakes away, but the cot leg holds. I need leverage. The mattress is only a coiled skeleton, its stuffing gutted. I wedge one coil between shackle and wrist and twist. Metal shrieks, the coil snaps, and the hinge on the cuff pops open. Freedom, but blood trickles down my forearm, bright red against institutional gray. Now I take inventory. Room, ward size, cracked tiles, one broken wheelchair, walls a mosaic of grime. Door, ajar, rotted wood. Light, only what filters through grimy windows, a low amber bruised by dusk. Cameras, 3 glassy domes in the corners, the kind that hide the direction of the lens. They stare at me, blinking tiny red LEDs. Someone is watching. I step into the hallway. The building is an abandoned psychiatric hospital. That much is unmistakable. Charts still hang outside doors, paper fossilized crisp. A sagging banner reads, "Day Room Recreation." In cheerful letters bleached ghost white. I smell ammonia, damp, and something coppery that makes my stomach lurch. Painted across the corridor, in block capitals the height of my chest, is a message. T-55822. The seconds click down. Underneath, smaller words form a litany. One will choke on her lies, one will bleed for his faith, one will burn for her sins. 3 murders in just under 6 hours. I have no watch, but the numbers change each time my eyes flick back. An LED projection stenciled from a hidden device, or maybe phosphorescent paint wired to a timer. Either way, the count is real, and whoever set it up wanted me, specifically me, to see it. A flash, a lecture hall. I'm speaking about temporal profiling, how killers schedule crimes to mimic symbolic calendars. The memory vanishes before I can clutch it, but I know this is a puzzle I am meant to solve. I walk, footsteps echoing. Cameras line the ceiling like mechanical insects. Occasionally one whirs, tracking me. I force myself to think like a psychologist rather than a victim. Cameras mean the designer seeks observation, not immediate harm. A controlled experiment, or a game. At the next junction, the walls narrow. Here, illuminated by a single emergency lantern, is an explosion of scrawlings. Floor to ceiling, every inch covered in looping marker strokes. Times, names, symbols, arrows, chemical formulae. Bits of Latin scripture. Some lines are crossed out, others underlined in red that's either ink or diluted blood. The centerpiece is a crude clock face drawn around a thermostat. The hands are charcoal smudges pointing to 11 and 1. Beside it, the face of God is a mirror. Find your reflection before midnight. I touch the varnish of the thermostat dial, lukewarm. The phrase "face of God" triggers another flicker. Me interviewing a patient who carved mirrors into his skin to ward off invisible angels. Again it slips away. Footfalls behind me. I spin. Nothing. Just the building settling, wind rattling broken windows. Yet I feel watched more intimately than any camera can manage. Watched from inside bones that are, for the moment, not entirely mine. I return to the scrawlings. Among the chaos, a sequence repeats. 3 initials paired with anatomical sketches. CO, trachea, circled in green. MR, radial artery, circled in red. SG, entire body engulfed in orange scribbles like flame. Choke, bleed, burn. The 3 upcoming victims. I dig through memory. Forensic databases, witness statements. Do those initials mean anything? Each time I try, my mind goes snowblind. Someone scrubbed me clean. Focus, I tell myself. A forensic psychologist solves by pattern, not by memory. A map of the hospital hangs nearby, glass cracked but readable. Wings A through F, plus basement. On the map, someone has penned the same 3 initials. CO in Wing B, MR in Chapel, Wing D, SG in Crematorium. Annex off the basement. Timed murders in 3 separate locations. 6 hours to stop them. The scrawler wants me to run the gauntlet. Why? I speak aloud, voice hoarse. What's the payoff? You want to film my rescue attempts, my failure? The cameras say nothing, but the red LEDs pulse like tiny heartbeats. I move. Wing B smells of urine and dust. Here, patient rooms line a corridor, each with observation windows. Many doors are ajar. Inside, graffiti competes with peeling wallpaper. The timer over my shoulder reads 5:31:09. Halfway down, I hear wheezing. A woman kneels on the floor, both hands bound behind her with plastic zip ties. Duct tape covers her mouth. Around her neck, a thick zip tie loops and threads through slats of a floor vent. Each shallow breath ratchets the tie tighter. Her badge dangles. Clarissa Ortiz, visiting attorney. CO. She thrashes when she sees me. Her eyes plead. I drop beside her. The tie is thick as a cable, fused to the vent grill bolted into concrete. No scissors, no knife. I try to wedge fingers beneath, but the plastic cuts like wire. Think. She chokes on her lies. Attorney, lies. The puzzle maker expects me to solve by metaphor, not force. I scan the room. On the wall, a mirror shard protrudes from plaster, maybe broken off a one-way observation window. I yank it free. Edges serrated but sharp enough. I insert the shard under the tie and saw. Clarissa's face is turning mauve. Plastic yields with a pop. The tie snaps. She collapses wheezing, vomiting bile. I slice her wrist bonds, then rip away the tape. "Who did this to you?" I ask. She gulps air. I was in court, then a parking garage, gas, woke up here." Tears gloss her eyes. "Why are they filming us?" I glance at the corner camera. It swivels. "No time," I say. "Follow me." But as Clarissa rises, a hiss erupts overhead. Small vents lining the corridor exhale sweet, chemical air. Clarissa sags, eyes rolling. I cover my mouth with a sleeve, drag her toward a stairwell. Before we reach it, she collapses entirely, pulse slow but present. The gas doesn't dull my mind the way it floors her, but fingers numb. I haul her into a storage closet, crack a window for air, and barricade the door with a filing cabinet. Timer reads 4:52:10, 1 saved, 2 to go. I sprint toward Wing D. As I run, memories drip back. I remember testifying about the spectator compulsion of certain serial offenders, the need not only to kill, but to watch their handiwork in real time. I lectured that technology magnifies the appetite, surveillance as both scalpel and stage. Did my words inspire this nightmare? Wing D once housed the hospital chapel. High-arched ceiling, stained glass caked with grime. Pews lie overturned. A marble altar stands intact beneath a skylight blackened by soot. A man kneels before the altar, hands bound, head bent. A rope snakes from his cuffs to a pulley overhead, then down to a cinder block resting on the edge of a balcony rail. The other end of the rope ties around his neck. If the cinder block falls, it will rip his wrists upward and hang him simultaneously. His badge reads, Rev. Matthew Ruskin. M.R. bleed for his faith. But how? I see no blade. Then I notice wires taped to his forearms leading to a small pump fixed at his feet, needle against his radial artery. A timer on the pump, 0:12 and counting down. When it hits 0, the needle will puncture, the block will drop, the rope will jerk, wrists wrench skyward, and blood will spray. Murder engineered like a domino trick. 8 minutes now. I race to the balcony and examine the cinder block. Balanced precariously, but I can't lift it without risking tip. A sign on the altar catches my eye. The weight of faith is spirit, not stone. Weight, stone, faith. Solve the riddle, not the mechanics. I scan the pews, hymnals, rotting pages. I tear out books, stack them under the rope where it stretches taut from wrists to pulley. If I can prop the rope, the block may drop without jerking his arms. But the block will still crush someone below, me or him. Another idea. Substitute equal weight. I grab 5 hymnals, each thick. Quick mental math. A cinder block weighs about 30 pounds. Hymnals may be 2 pounds each. Not enough. What else is heavy? The marble altar slab, but impossible. Timer, 0:05. I shove the hymnals under rope midspan, creating slack. Then I heave the cinder block sideways so it lands on the balcony floor, not off the edge. The sudden slack prevents the wrist jerk. Needle triggers, pierces artery. Blood spurts. But now Reverend Ruskin's wrists are still tied, neck noose still looped. I leap down, press thumb against radial artery to stem flow. I clamp the tube with a broken pew nail, halting suction. His face is white. Stay with me, I order. He whispers, Forgive them, for they know not. I laugh harshly. I'm not Jesus, Reverend, just the cleanup crew. From my pocket, I still had the mirror shard. I slice his wrist bonds, then the noose. I shove a hymnal against his wound and wrap his arm with a belt yanked from my jeans. Pressure bandage. A hiss again. Gas flows from vents behind the altar. I drag Ruskin to a side door labeled Confessional. Inside, a cracked window admits breathable air. I prop him, check pulse. Weak, but steady. Timer. 3:43:18, 2 saved. Last, SG. Scheduled to burn. Basement crematorium. Cameras track me. Whoever orchestrates this will escalate. Stairwell A descends into black. My shoes crunch charred fragments that smell of smoke and chemicals. Halfway down, emergency lights flicker. Heat brushes my cheeks, though no fire burns yet. At the bottom hall, a chain-link gate blocks access, padlocked. Painted above in neon orange, fire purifies truth. Only ash holds the answer. Next to the gate stands a small iron urn sealed with wax. My reflection wobbles in its black surface. Bruised, blood-spattered stranger. I pry off the wax. Inside lies a single key and a folded photograph. The photo shows me, confident, hair in a bun, shaking hands with a middle-aged woman wearing a lab coat name tag, Dr. Sarah Geller. SG recognition slams me. She was my mentor, Director of Forensic Behavioral Sciences at Bellevue University. The basement murder is for her. But why? Key opens the padlock. I push through and run. The crematorium annex is a cavern of tiled walls, twin furnaces gaping like red throats. One glows faintly, pilot flames licking the stone hearth. Strapped to a gurney is Dr. Sarah Geller, unconscious, arms pinned, IV drip taped to her vein. Her clothes are soaked in accelerant. The IV bag contains clear liquid labeled ketamine. Above hangs an automatic crane arm rigged with a chain harness to tip the gurney into Furnace 1. A digital countdown on the control panel, 0:42:117. The control panel lacks obvious off switches, wiring snakes into the furnace body. Cameras cluster overhead like vultures. Fire purifies truth. Ash holds the answer. There must be a failsafe. Something to feed the fire that isn't her. I search a tool rack. Shovels, poker, brick tongs. No extinguishers, of course not. but on a shelf behind the furnace sits a large metal trunk. Inside, bags of bone ash, the remnants of past incinerations. Next to them, a plastic-sealed diary with my handwriting on the cover. My head reels. I open to the middle. Entry 12. Subject exhibits classic omniscient delusion. Believes murders can be predicted through prophetic walls. We will replicate environment to test. The signature, Dr. S. Geller. Another entry. My handwriting. Entry 19. Experiment compromised. Dr. Geller disregards ethical constraints. I must expose her. Cameras ensure chain of custody. If anything happens to me, the footage will convict her. My heart bangs. The experiment was ours. We brought patients here, simulated prophetic stressors to map violence contagion. Something went wrong. Someone flipped the roles, wiped my memory with scopolamine or worse, cast me as rat in my own maze. Only ash holds the answer. The ash in these bags? Evidence. If the furnaces ignite, ash will mingle and proof will vanish. Timer, 003803. I untie Geller's restraints. She stirs, groggy. I slap her. Wake up, Sarah. Eyes flutter. You, where? Later, help me. But she can barely lift her head. I attach a chain hoist to Furnace 1's loading hatch. Jam it open so the crane can't dump the gurney. Next, I drag the ash trunk onto the gurney in her place. As I move her to the floor, sirens wail, system detects tampering, countdown accelerates. EO0, EO2, EO0. I shove the gurney with the trunk into the crane harness, engage manual override. The crane swings, tips the trunk into the roaring mouth. The furnace flares as accelerant ignites. Explosive whoosh. Cameras zoom, servos clicking manically. Ash billows, washes over us. Sprinklers do not activate. The arson was designed to proceed. But the gurney now empty, Dr. Geller alive beside me. I yank power cables from the panel. Sparks spit, countdown freezes at 0047. Flames stay in Furnace 1, contained. Gas hiss overhead. Here, though, vent plates are missing. Did I disable them earlier? Or did someone forget? Either way, air remains clear. Dr. Geller coughs. What have you done? I saved your life. She laughs, a broken rasp. You think that was mercy? I grab her collar. Explain. Why wipe my memory? She gazes at cameras. They wanted authenticity. You argued we needed involuntary amnesia to measure moral instinct. I disagreed, so they used you. They? A speaker crackles. A voice I recognize. My own. Subject has completed the triad in 2/1847. The voice is calm, clinical. Proceed to evaluation. I stare up, throat constricting. Memories geyser forth. I recorded that narration hours ago, before volunteering for Phase 2, retrograde saturation drug, short-term sedation, staged awakening. I chose this. I designed it. But why the real victims? Clarissa Ortiz and Reverend Ruskin are no actors. Their terror was genuine. Did I sanction live bait? Dr. Geller answers my unspoken question. We compromised on method, real stakes to guarantee real response. You insisted on non-lethal contingencies. I honored that. The gas was medical-grade halothane. They'll sleep 6 hours, then wake. She gestures weakly. You saved them because we rigged them so they could be saved. The test wasn't whether you'd succeed, it was whether you'd try. I feel ill. Test for what? To measure if you would sacrifice data to preserve life. She nods toward Furnace 1. You could have preserved the ash, our entire research chronology, by letting me burn. You destroyed it. Years of work. I remember scribbling in my diary about ethics, boundaries. I chose humanity over research once I regained instinct. Even stripped of memory, I still chose it. Relief floods me, tinged with horror at how near the edge we danced. Sirens fade, replaced by ventilator hum. Door bolts unlatch with pneumatic sigh. A floodlight ignites the corridor. Men and women in lab coats file in, tablets glowing. At their lead, a woman I recall from grant meetings, project overseer, Dr. Klein. She speaks. Experiment complete. Memory restoration protocol now. Technicians approach with syringes. My stomach knots. I step back. No, you promised full consent. Klein tilts her head. We obtained it. I revoke it. End this. Dr. Geller pulls herself upright. You can't halt midway. The data. Burned, I say. Purified. Klein's gaze flicks to furnace smoke curling from the chimney. Understanding dawns. You clever girl. She signals the technicians to stand down. Fine, we'll debrief with what remains. I turn to the nearest camera, imagining the hidden audience. No more God games. I pick up a crowbar, swing, shattering the lens. Sparks spit. I work down the line, smashing each eye. Clarissa and Reverend Ruskin will wake, confused but alive. Sarah Geller will live with scars, and maybe guilt enough to re-examine her ethics. As for me, memories will return or not, but I know what matters. When the last camera dies, silence blankets the corridor. Outside, dusk has deepened into night, but through a cracked window I glimpse stars, real lights that watch without judgment. I breathe them in and walk toward the exit, no longer subject, but survivor.